Emily had always been cautious with online dating. She'd heard the horror stories and seen the warnings. But at 28, living alone in her cozy apartment in the quiet suburbs, she found herself longing for companionship. Her friends convinced her to try a dating app, insisting that it was safe as long as she was careful. After much hesitation, she finally signed up. The app seemed harmless enough, with its bright colors and friendly interface. She swiped through profiles, making small talk with a few men here and there. But one profile stood out John. He was handsome, with kind eyes and a warm smile, and his messages were always thoughtful and respectful. He seemed too good to be true. After a week of chatting, they decided to meet in person. They chose a busy cafe in the city, a place where Emily felt safe. The date went well. John was charming, funny, and attentive. They talked for hours, and by the end of the night, Emily felt a genuine connection with him. As they parted ways, John asked if he could see her again. Emily hesitated but then agreed, thinking it was harmless. They exchanged numbers, and from that moment, John became a regular part of her life. At first, everything seemed perfect. John would text her good morning every day and call her every evening. They went on a few more dates, and Emily started to feel like she was falling for him. But as weeks passed, things started to change. John became more possessive. He would text her constantly, wanting to know where she was and who she was with. If she didn't respond immediately, he would bombard her with messages until she did. At first, Emily brushed it off as him being overly affectionate, but it started to feel suffocating. One evening, Emily was out with friends when her phone buzzed. It was John, asking where she was. She replied, telling him she was with friends and would talk to him later. But the messages kept coming, becoming increasingly demanding and aggressive. Why aren't you answering? Who are you with? Are there any guys? Emily's heart raced as she read the messages. She didn't know what to do, so she put her phone away and tried to enjoy the evening. But the unease lingered in the back of her mind. When she got home that night, there were more messages from John, over a dozen of them. They ranged from angry to apologetic, as if he was trying to guilt her into responding. She felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she realized this wasn't normal. The next day, she decided to talk to John about it. She told him that his behavior was making her uncomfortable and that she needed some space. But instead of understanding, John became angry. "You don't care about me," he snapped. "You're just like all the others." Emily was taken aback by his outburst. She tried to calm him down, but he only grew more agitated. Finally, she decided to end things with him. She blocked his number and deleted the app, hoping that would be the end of it. For a few days, things were quiet. Emily started to feel like she could breathe again. But then, strange things started happening. She would come home to find her door unlocked, even though she was sure she'd locked it. Items in her apartment would be moved, but nothing was ever missing. One night, as she was getting ready for bed, she heard a noise outside her window. Her apartment was on the ground floor, so she peeked through the curtains, but saw nothing. She convinced herself it was just the wind and went to bed. But the unease grew. She started feeling like she was being watched, even when she was alone in her apartment. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then, one night, she heard footsteps outside her door. Her heart pounded in her chest as she tiptoed to the peephole. She held her breath, peeking through the tiny glass, and froze. John was standing outside her door, staring at it with a blank expression. He wasn't knocking or calling her name, just standing there, as if waiting for something. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. How had he found her? She had never told him where she lived. Panic set in. She backed away from the door, trying to figure out what to do. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, too far to reach without making noise. She didn't want to alert him that she was inside. The seconds felt like hours as she stood there, paralyzed with fear. Finally, she mustered the courage to make a run for her phone. She grabbed it and quickly dialed 911, whispering to the operator that someone was outside her door. But just as she was about to tell them her address, she heard the doorknob rattle. John was trying to get in. Emily's blood ran cold. She dashed into her bedroom, locking the door behind her. She hid in the closet, trying to keep her breathing quiet as she heard the door creak open. John's voice echoed through the apartment. "I know you're here." She covered her mouth to stifle a sob, clutching her phone like a lifeline. The operator was still on the line, trying to get her attention, but Emily was too terrified to respond. She heard John's footsteps getting closer. He was in the hallway now, just outside her bedroom door. She squeezed her eyes shut, praying that he wouldn't find her. Suddenly, there was a loud banging on the front door. "Police. Open up." John's footsteps stopped, and for a moment there was silence. Then she heard him curse under his breath before the sound of him bolting out the back door reached her ears. Emily stayed hidden in the closet until she heard the police enter the apartment. They found her trembling and crying, still clutching the phone. They assured her that she was safe now, but the terror didn't leave her. The police never caught John. They told Emily that he had likely been stalking her for weeks, watching her every move, waiting for the right moment to confront her. They advised her to stay with a friend or family member until they could ensure her safety. Emily moved in with her sister for a few months, too afraid to go back to her apartment. She changed her number, deleted all her social media accounts, and vowed never to use a dating app again. The experience left her scarred. She became wary of strangers, always looking over her shoulder, never feeling truly safe. Even after she moved to a new city, far away from where it all happened, the fear lingered. She had learned the hard way that some connections, no matter how perfect they seem at first, can turn into nightmares. And though she tried to move on, a part of her would always be haunted by the man from the app. My name is Anton, and today I'm going to share with you an experience that transpired in the vibrant city of St. Petersburg back in 2017. It all began quite innocently, with a few swipes on a dating app that led to a spark of connection with a woman named Irina. Unbeknownst to me, this seemingly delightful encounter would soon spiral into a web of peril and deceit. Irina and I instantly clicked. Her profile picture exuded warmth and a touch of mystery, and our conversations flowed effortlessly. Before long, she suggested we meet in person at an unusual themed restaurant she knew of. The place was hidden away in the cellar of an unremarkable building, its clandestine location only fueling my curiosity. Eager to experience something different and to deepen my connection with Irina, I readily agreed. As I descended the narrow staircase into the dimly lit establishment, I was immediately captivated by the eclectic decor. The walls were adorned with antique posters and flickering neon signs, casting an array of vibrant colors over the space. The soft murmur of conversation blended with the soothing notes of a jazz tune playing softly in the background, creating an intimate and cozy ambience. Irina was already seated at a table near the back, her smile bright as she waved me over. A flutter of anticipation gripped me as I approached her. We exchanged pleasantries and quickly became engrossed in conversation, the hours slipping away as we laughed and shared our stories. When it came time to order, I let Irina take charge, trusting her judgment on the menu. Little did I know, that was the first of many missteps. The waiter appeared, pen in hand, ready to jot down our selections. As Irina effortlessly listed a series of dishes, I noticed something unusual. There were no prices listed anywhere on the menu. Dismissing my unease, I chalked it up to the restaurant's quirky charm. How expensive could a meal possibly be? Little did I know, I was in for a rude awakening. As the night wore on, our table became laden with a sumptuous array of dishes. We indulged in the feast, lost in each other's company. But when the bill arrived, my heart sank like a stone. The total was astronomical, several $1,000s for what had seemed like a modest meal. Panic gripped me as I struggled to comprehend the situation. It was then that the awful realization struck: I had been ensnared in a well-orchestrated scam. Irina, as it turned out, was part of an organized group of con artists who preyed on unsuspecting people like myself. The restaurant was their trap, and I had walked right into it. Anger and betrayal surged through me as I understood the full extent of their deception. Before I could even react, two hulking men appeared at our table, their expressions cold and threatening as they demanded payment. My protests were met with stony silence as they loomed over me, their threats growing more menacing with each passing second. In a flash of desperation, I knew I had to act. With adrenaline surging through my veins, I grabbed a nearby beer bottle and shattered it over the head of one of the thugs, sending shards of glass flying. Chaos erupted as screams pierced the air, mingling with the sounds of scuffling and panic. Summoning every ounce of strength and courage, I fought my way through the chaos, determined to escape their clutches. My heart pounding in my chest, I burst through the restaurant doors and into the cool night air, my lungs burning from the exertion. With trembling hands, I fumbled for my phone and dialed the emergency number, my voice quivering as I recounted the terrifying ordeal to the dispatcher. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air, signaling the arrival of law enforcement. As the culprits were apprehended and led away in handcuffs, a wave of relief washed over me. Though shaken and bruised, I emerged from the experience with a newfound sense of resilience and determination. And so, dear reader, let my story serve as a stark warning: beware the allure of online encounters, for not everything that shines is gold. Trust your instincts and never underestimate the power of deception lurking in the shadows. For in the heart of darkness, even the brightest light can be snuffed out in an instant.